Hey everybody, Bethany here with Phoenix Family Birth. Obviously, you're on the Phoenix Family Birth page. If you're watching the replay, thank you so much for taking time to do that. Go ahead and comment replay in the comments below so that we know you're here. If you're coming on live, make sure you introduce yourself, say hello, so I know you're here live and can answer your questions in real time. Okay, I normally come on live with like at least a little bit of a plan, if not a script, and I'm going to come at you really raw today because we need to have this conversation. So I am a mom of three. Give you a little backstory about me. I'm a mom of three. My daughter just turned 12 years old. We have a son who is 4 years old and a son who's just about to be 18 months old. So I have three babies. Their births all looked very different from one another. With that said, I was due with my first on December 1st. That was her given due date. We had a bit of a rough pregnancy. I had a lot of various high-risk conditions. But one of the things that I really kept focusing on was, I don't want to be pregnant at Thanksgiving. It was not something that sounded fun to me. I wanted to be able to eat a full meal, to fill my belly, and just really enjoy having Thanksgiving with my daughter there. Truth be told, I developed a condition called cholestasis of pregnancy that made it very dangerous for her to continue to live inside my body past 36 weeks. I also developed a high-level preeclampsia. So we went ahead and induced her at 35 weeks and 5 days, and she came at 36 weeks on the dot. And I remember one of my earliest thoughts after she was born was, yay! I can eat all the turkey and stuffing I want. In a way, I got my wish. Is it the way that I would have foreseen? No. Is it the way that I really would have wanted? No. I wanted my pregnancy to be very healthy. The truth was, it wasn't. However, my daughter was very healthy. She came out with no issues at all. Hey, Ashley, happy to see you here. What are you up to? Okay, so being a mom to three, and having three inductions due to that same high-risk condition called cholestasis, I am in a lot of mommy groups because my kids are all at different ages. I am super confident and an expert in raising an infant. So through that first year, maybe a little bit past the first year mark, I feel super confident, no issues there whatsoever. We get into the walking, talking toddler stage, I start to fall off the wagon a little bit. But I've never raised a 12-year-old before. Have some ideas. You know, I've been a teacher at this age, so I've got some experience, but doing it yourself is a little bit different. So I rely on the moms groups. Most often I rely on my own actual group. It's Phoenix, it's Pregnant Professionals and Working Moms in Phoenix. Come in there, join us, help each other out. Hey, Anna, how are you? Oh, I'm happy you're here, Ashley. Okay, so I rely on these mom groups. As a doula and a childbirth educator and all those other titles, those alphabet soup things that come behind my name, I am in a lot of various birth community groups as well, for doulas, for due date groups, for support groups after a cesarean birth, all sorts of them. You name it, there's a group for it, and I'm probably in it. Oh, I'm so glad to hear it, Anna. So in these groups, what happens is around the holidays, every single year, without fail, people start posting this graphic or this blog or these like special reminders and warnings about holiday inductions, okay? And it goes a little something like this. Hey, if you're due around Thanksgiving, remember that Thanksgiving's not a medical need for an induction. And what happens when you click these links or these graphics is it takes you to these pages that just go on and on and on and have all these fear-mongering things about induction and how your doctor is out to get you. And gosh, don't you know that golfing is more important to your doctor than your birth, and being home to eat turkey with their family is more important than you being home to, or being at the hospital to have a safe and healthy baby. And really, I'm going to lay it out there, guys. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. It's such bullshit. Your doctor did not go to medical school and put themselves into debt and carry loads and loads of money every year in their liability insurance because they wanted to golf and eat turkey. Okay, your midwife didn't go into birth because they really just want to make sure that you are miserable around the holidays. It's not why it happens. Yes, Ashley, totally. It's all judgment based, okay? Are there things wrong with our medical care system, our maternity care system? Yes. Unequivocally, yes, there are things that need to be fixed and improved upon. And that is, part of my driving mission as a doula is to leave birth better than I found it. But by trying to say that your doctor hates you and wants to induce you just out of their own convenience, probably not likely. Possible? Yep. Likely? No. And I'll tell you what, if you are with a provider that you think this is happening with, switch. It's that simple. Unless you are pushing out your baby as you speak, it's not too late to switch providers. The number one most important thing in your pregnancy, in your birth, is that you trust your doctor, you trust your midwife. You know that if they're recommending an induction, there's a good reason for it. If they're recommending an induction and you're not sure if there's a good reason, ask questions. Okay, we talk all the time about the brained model. Ask the benefits for you and baby for inducing. Ask about the risk to you and baby for inducing. Ask about alternatives. Ask about what other information you would need to consider before you decided if you wanted to induce. Then you can say, excuse me, and decide, and talk about with your partner, with your support system, what do you want to do? Does your doctor seem to have a valid reason for recommending this induction? They probably do. If they don't, if you really truly believe that this is a situation where they just don't want to come to your birth on Thanksgiving or on Christmas Day or on New Year's Eve, then you need to switch, okay? Your daughter was born on Valentine's Day. Yeah, still had a doc there, right? Like, doctors know that, okay, they can't talk all of their patients into inducing before the holiday gets here. And even if they do, there's this thing called preterm labor that happens. There's no guarantee that they're going to clear their Thanksgiving Day or their Christmas Day or their New Year's Eve. Like, they can induce all the patients they want. It's not going to give them a guarantee that they're not on call. They are there because they support you. They want you to be safe and healthy. They want your baby to be safe and healthy. If they're recommending an induction, that is a very likely thing that needs to happen. If it's not, you can certainly make the decision to say no. Absolutely. Okay. The other thing that I really want to talk about is kind of how I started this story. I didn't want to be pregnant on Thanksgiving, guys. I didn't. It was something that really was important to me that I not be pregnant then, even though my baby wasn't due for another, 5 or 6 days or something like that afterward. So if you are finding yourself in a situation where your doctor is pressuring for an induction or a cesarean that you don't feel is necessary, that's different than you wanting to choose an induction or a cesarean birth because you want that for yourself, okay? Don't let anybody tell you you're wrong. Don't let anybody tell you that you're selfish. You know your body best. You know your needs best. Part of healthy mom, healthy baby is mentally healthy, emotionally healthy. If you have a trigger around being pregnant on the holidays, for me, it was really silly. It was, I just want to be able to eat a full meal without getting stuffed so early because I'm out of room. But if you had maybe a family member died around the holidays, if you have a situation where the holidays have another meaning to you, and the idea of staying pregnant on that holiday or possibly going into labor on that holiday is a problem for you, it's perfectly reasonable and acceptable to ask your provider for an induction or a cesarean birth. Yes, mental and emotional health are so important. They are the rest of that piece of healthy mom, healthy baby. Everybody gets down on the medical care system for pushing healthy mom, healthy baby, but we should want that. And we should expand that definition to include mentally and emotionally healthy as well. Sometimes there's a case where, you know what, your spouse or your partner may only be here for a couple of days around the holidays. Maybe they work long distance. Maybe they have to travel for work. Maybe they're deployed. And you know that if you can schedule this induction or schedule your cesarean birth on this holiday or right near this holiday, you're going to have that super important person there for you. That is so powerful. If you have to face birthing alone, but you have the choice to birth with your ideal person there, and it just so happens that that coincides with the holidays because that's the way our culture works, screw anybody who tells you you are wrong. Okay? If it is your choice, your decision, whether it's because you just feel like it or there's a pressing reason or you are trusting your doctor's expertise, don't let anybody tell you that you are wrong. Okay? So if you need a support person to be there with you, or you just need somebody to talk it out and try to figure out, you know, what are my options? What are the possible things I need to think about with an induction? You know, there's a chance that you're going to ask for an induction and your provider is going to say, you know, you're not a good candidate at this point. Maybe you haven't quite reached full term yet. You haven't reached that 39-week mark. Perhaps they measure your Bishop score, which is where they take various measurements of your cervix. They measure how thick it is, how dilated it is, how anterior versus posterior, so the positioning of it. All these different pieces come together. And if they score your Bishop score and they tell you, look, you know, there's a really good chance that if you start this induction, you're not going to achieve a vaginal birth. That's something to consider. That doesn't mean yes or no. If they're willing to say you can have an induction with a low Bishop score, but please be aware that these are possible things that may happen, including a risk of cesarean birth. If you take that information in and say, I'm okay with this, that's something that makes me comfortable, and your provider says, I'm comfortable with it, all the power to you, okay? Is it what your best friend would do? Maybe not. Is it what your sister would do? Maybe not. Is it what your doula would do? Maybe not. You know, we don't know, but it doesn't matter. Because all that matters for your pregnancy and your birth is what you need to feel healthy and strong and confident and to be able to feel in control. Because the number one factor in whether a birthing person feels that they have had a good birth experience or a traumatic birth experience, satisfying or dissatisfying, isn't if you have a vaginal birth or a cesarean birth, isn't if you give birth in a home or a hospital, isn't whether you have a doula or you do not have a doula. It's not whether you birth with an OB or a midwife. It's this. Do you feel like you have a say in the decision-making process? Do you have a voice? Do you get to be a part of that conversation? That is what birthing people report as the number one thing that makes them feel like they had a satisfying birth, no matter the outcome. That's really important, you guys, really, really important. So when you see that graphic floating around and you get judgment from people for saying, I'm so tired of being pregnant, or hey, my doctor really thinks that inducing Tuesday is important, let it go. Set a boundary and let go of the consequence. I'm going to say that again. Setting boundaries means letting go of the consequences. You don't have to answer to anybody else. You only have to answer to you, your partner and support system, your baby, and not even really to your provider, but obviously they're going to be a part of that conversation. So I hate those posts too. And it's like, this is not directed at any one person or any one group. I have seen them starting to pop up. We're just a week out from Thanksgiving, so they're coming up in all of the groups. They'll come up again as we get close to Christmas and again at New Year's, like they'll just kind of recycle through. So anytime you see those posts, feel free to ignore, scroll by, or if you're a sassy pants, go ahead and make a comment that says something along the lines of, everyone should be able to make the choices that feel right to them, not about what statistics say or what fear would induce. Because that's really all it is. It's about fear, and it's about creating distrust with your provider. And if there's one thing that I don't stand for, it's intentionally creating distrust with your provider. You hire them to trust them. You hire them to care for you and to care for your baby. And that's the situation that we should have. We shouldn't be working to dismantle that. All right. So that's my ranty rant for the day. I would love to have you drop some comments. Let me know what you think if you're catching this on the replay. If you have personally experienced this sort of pressure from a provider, or you made the individual choice to go ahead and have your baby before the holiday for any reason, I would love to hear from you, hear your story, and be able to share in a piece of that. Otherwise, I have to get off to dinner with a family member myself. So I will catch you all later, and have a wonderful, wonderful Thanksgiving if I don't see you or hear from you sooner. Bye.